Welcome to Otaku Evolution. I'm your host, Penguin Truth. So far, I've talked about some pretty prominent figures in manga and anime in this series. Osamu Tezuka, Monkey Punch, Mamoru Oshii, Yoshiyuki Tomino, Rintaro, and Kenichi Sonoda, to name a few. I've been doing this for nearly 50 episodes, and it's surprising that I'm only getting to Shotaro Ishinomori just now. Ishinomori had a career spanning decades. His mentor was the original Tezuka, and he produced such works as Cyborg 009, Kamen Rider, Go Ranger, and Genma Tyson, from which sprung Harmageddon. Let's stay positive, though. I bring him up because today's subject is Kikaider the Animation, an anime based on his live-action Kikaider TV series from 1972. The anime TV series is said to actually follow more in the steps of the manga version Ishinomori made after the original tokusatsu show. It was released years after Ishinomori's death, and was even licensed and dubbed for North America, where it aired on the Adult Swim block on Cartoon Network, to a bit of a dull thud. It follows an android hero named Jiro, or Kikaider, who is created by a kind scientist, and fights a legion of evil robots that the same scientist also created, but are now being used for evil by a dark, twisted mad scientist. I believe we have some footage of this struggle. Sorry, it seems we got the wrong footage. Or is it? Our story begins when negligent father and inventor of Code Red Mountain Dew, Dr. Komyoji, is working in his lab late one night when his eyes beheld an eerie sight. Before he could get that monster mash going, his lab explodes, and he's confronted by our villain, Dr. Gill, and two of the Mavericks from the Mega Man X series. When his daughter Mitsuko gets to the scene, all she finds is the burning wreckage, assuming the worst. Apparently, though, the android he was working on survived the disaster, though he has no concept of who he is or what his place in the world is. When he stops to help some children retrieve their toy plane, he doesn't realize his abnormal strength and is rejected for being a freak. Poor guy. Actually, that Hulk Lonely Man theme is pretty similar to the theme music for this series. Jiro is attacked by Tunnel Rhino here, but is able to transform into his combat mode, which is, yeah. They try really hard to make it look intimidating, but it's still half red, half blue, with a bizarre toyetic design. But helping his image is that he easily dispatches the horned robot. Mitsuko and her little brother are understandably unsettled, though. At first, Jiro seems like he might actually get along with Mitsuko and Masaru, spending some time with them while they try to figure out why he was created and how his features, like his conscience circuit, works. However, Gil is capable of taking temporary control of him with a certain frequency and...
down. I've been a fool to myself. I thought that I could live for no one else. But now, through all the hurt and pain, it's time for me to respect the ones you love me more than anything. So with sadness in my heart, feel the best thing I could do is end it all and leave forever. What's done is done, it feels so bad. What once was happy now is sad. I'll never love again, my world is ending.
Sorry. Cheap shot. Jiro snaps out of it but is rejected by Mitsuko and wanders off into a city. After another failed attempt to interact with a person, he again feels alienated. He's spotted by a private eye that Mitsuko hired to find him. Inspector Balchin here witnesses Jiro's transformation into Kikaider when he takes on Web Spider. Fortunately, he doesn't seem that frightened of him and becomes an ally. Jiro has much less luck with children, though. After defeating this ant-based robot, a little girl he's been hanging out with has an adverse reaction to his transformed state.
Chico's alright. What's wrong? I thought we were going to...
Get away!
No, look out! She's alright, Jiro.
Please don't let it near me! Keep it away! It's a monster!
Monster! A monster.
Jiro, you're all right. Will you come home now? Please, Jiro?
No, Mitsuko. Please don't. Please don't!
Jiro!
Don't look at me.
In another episode, he finds refuge in the home of a woman who's waiting for her lover to return, and at first mistakes Jiro for him. When she took in the man she was waiting for, he'd been bleeding and sitting in the same spot Jiro was. That one guy does, in fact, return in time to help Jiro remove bombs planted by another of Gil's robot minions, though he was originally hired to plant them. He has a change of heart and disarms them, but doesn't have time to bask in his good deed because he's tragically gunned down.
I thought the hero was supposed to live. I told you Miyuki's waiting. Why'd you have to... Why?
I'm home. I see. Guess he couldn't stay. If you see him somewhere,
Please tell him for me that I'll always be here for him. I'll be waiting.
Yikes. This is becoming a parade of pain for our hero Jiro. And here he is, brain the size of a planet, and he's got this pain and all the diodes down his left-hand side. Mitsuko gets kidnapped by Count Dracula, who makes a big production out of speaking philosophically about everything. He holds her in the house she used to live in with her parents. He tells her it's on orders of Gil, who Mitsuko remembers hearing the name of as a child. This stirs in her memories of when her mother, who was introduced to her father through Gil, abandoned her family. It only gets worse for Mitsuko when Razor Stash here confronts her over her growing feelings for Jiro, which he says are misplaced.
Be honest, you really haven't been thinking clearly, have you? How would you react if Kikaider suddenly told you he loved you? Yes, I wonder what you'd do then. Just how would you respond to his amorous advances? With sympathy, perhaps?
Oh, my poor little Jiro. Come and let me comfort you. After all, that's what friends are for, isn't it? But you and I can never be closer than that.
And he'll say, but that's not enough for me. It will never be enough. And you even know why you can't accept his love. Because while it may work with humans, it would be impossible for sympathy to form into love between a human and a machine. Can you deny what I say?
It's not true!
And if that wasn't bad enough, Mitsuko learns even worse things about her parents. Her father's son from a previous marriage died in an experiment, and Gil approached him right afterwards with Mitsuko's mother. He claimed to be an acquaintance interested in funding the doctor's robot research, but Gil had him create androids to be used as weapons, and eventually Dr. Komyoji grew weary of it. He even learned that Gil may have had something to do with the accident that killed his son, and his new wife had been in on it. Komyoji installed a conscience circuit into his ultimate creation to prevent it from falling into Gil's hands, and hoping it would fight him. Dracula here is a previously failed attempt at that, which is why he's so bitter, but Mitsuko argues that his way of thinking is wrong.
There's no one who can even begin to understand.
So, you think that you can understand my heart? You think that all humans are happy? Do you really think that for every child born there is someone who loves them? Is that what you think? You talk about feeling alone and abandoned as if you were the only one who ever felt that way. Well, if you're looking for my pity, you can forget it!
Stop it! What you're saying is absolute nonsense!
Nonsense? Maybe it is. But even so, Jiro is still fighting. Even though people call him a monster, even though everyone shuns him, he finds the will to keep fighting alone. I see now. We must be in my father's old laboratory. This is where my brother died. If that hadn't occurred, none of this would have ever happened. We could have avoided so much grief. This meaningless battle would never have been necessary.
We enter this world through an endless shroud of tears, huh? That's almost Shakespearean, isn't it? Even so, you humans are so entangled in your fears, you will never understand. A day in which we can finally escape our grief will never, ever come.
Jiro fights the Golden Shade Man in the appropriate setting of a graveyard. He deflects blades shot at him, but one goes off course towards the observing Mitsuko. Jiro transforms into Kikaider, but realizes his speed won't be enough to get to her in time and despairs. Fortunately, she's saved by an unlikely hero, Monocle Man himself, who, as with everything else, has to make a big show in the end. But that show is ended abruptly by a newcomer.
He said he wanted to die in peace, didn't he? Why not give the old fool what he wanted?
Who are you? Wait!
don't go.
But the depressing plot turns don't end anytime soon. Mitsuko's little brother meets these weird twins who travel around with a black bear with red eyes. Yeah, that's not suspicious. Masaru becomes close with them in a brief time, but as you'd expect, all three of them are androids sent to destroy Kikaider. Jiro has little choice but to fight and dispatch them, which devastates the kid. Don't make friends with black bears, children. They'll break your heart. For fuck's sake, Kikaider the animation, stop bumming me out! I know you want to be the gritty, edgy reboot of a pretty standard fun tokusatsu show, but this is overdoing it. Maybe you're just following the manga, but come on, let's have a little levity now and then. You're making Zeta Gundam and Grave of the Fireflies seem cheery. But hey, look, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, in the next episode, Mitsuko reunites with her mother. Reunions are always warm, right? It's not like she's going to...
See you soon.